You know, we were supposed to interview Chef José Andrés in New York, but I actually ran into him recently in North Carolina. I was there covering Hurricane Florence, and he was there feeding North Carolinians affected by Florence. So we did the interview there regarding his new book. I found him to be perhaps more reflective than ever, somewhat somber, and extremely candid, including his statement about how he thinks he actually failed in Puerto Rico. Did FEMA want to be involved with you in the beginning?
FEMA didn't want to be involved with us, but I don't blame them. We were a little organization that we never worked with them before. Sometimes we look like we are chefs that we try used to be cute, feeding people. But I began almost cooking to show them that we meant business, that we were serious. Actually, that 1 week after the hurricane, Saturday after the Monday arrived, who was at the time the head of FEMA, came to have lunch in our operation in Santurce. I was happy because slowly they were taking us seriously. Before we knew, we were doing, in that first week, almost 20,000 meals a day. We had a good game. Who was going to say that we went from 1,000 meals the first day to over 120,000 meals a day for a few weeks? We became a serious NGO, a serious organization, taking care of feeding Puerto Ricans.
We were there at the same time. So you know what I mean when I say essentially the central government collapsed. And the federal government had to come in and do more than they're ever used to doing after a natural disaster, at least here on the mainland. When was the moment where you realized, okay, now they know I'm the real deal, now they know they can trust me, and I've got them on my team?
It happened and didn't happen. Number one, I want to make sure that everybody understands that the men and women we have at FEMA are amazing people. They work beyond duty. The men and women of our military, chapeau to all of them because they work beyond duty. Every single first responder, every single NGO, the men and the women are unbelievable. But we need to start understanding that the system, the red tape, sometimes fails those people.
Do you think that in a way you and FEMA were both good for each other? And here's what I mean by that. I've had people from FEMA say to me, the chef was doing great stuff, but we have a rule box that he didn't like. And I've heard you say, FEMA's great, but they got some rules, man, that are just ridiculous.
Thank you, because that's what is being obvious. Obviously, one day I said, man, I'm frustrated with FEMA, but I'm frustrated with the organization. I love the people. I saw a big change when Mr. Byrne, Mike Byrne, came. Within a day of being there, even when he was very busy, he gave me 10 minutes of his time. He looked at me in the eyes and said, Jose, thank you for what you're doing. Help us help you. I saw a true leader making it happen, and I saw a big change from his arrival. But it still is true. I do believe that if I was the person running FEMA, I will be working hard to make sure that we simplify the systems so we can bring relief and aid to Americans in times of emergency faster, quicker, and cheaper.
Let me push back and get your advice on this. A lot of people would say, Chef, I gave a lot of money to purchase a lot of supplies. I don't know where it went. I'm afraid it wasn't used properly. Supplies were wasted. There was a lot of fraud. So if we loosen and simplify, maybe the fraud will be more. How do we do what you want without turning it into the Wild Wild West?
I do believe that that's a fair point, and I do believe, though, that at the same time we have enough people. Today's many ways that you can know what's going on. Listen, right now I'm testing different things. Every time I'm delivering food, my guys are following me to know what's kind of the places I'm stopping in my way to be delivering. We're working with technology that we know how many trays we're delivering. We're able to scan it, and we're able to say this food was produced in this kitchen and this food was delivered there. But at the same time, when need is so big, an NGO like us, the only thing we're doing is cover the need of the people. It's a moment that more is more. Actually, I can be producing those meals for $3, $4 max, in an emergency, when everything is expensive, when you have to be buying diesel and generators and sometimes having to rent a helicopter to bring food to faraway places. It's a moment of emergency. Emergency means that sometimes things are going to be more expensive, but nonetheless can be done faster and cheaper. What I know is this: we are going to have to specialize in the years to come to NGOs that, if they do well feeding, give them the power to do the feeding. If they do good on water, give them the power to control the water. But we have to put people that specialize in different areas so we are fast and quick, and in the process we can do it cheaper.
When we first reported the story about the million-plus water bottles sitting on the tarmac in Ceiba, you sent me a text message. No, you actually tweeted, and you said, we knew about that. What did you know?
Well, what we knew about that was two things. Was many other places that we knew there was water, and we were asking to use it, and they will not let us. Anybody. I'm not finger pointing.
Yeah.
What nobody has ever asked was why we were bringing so many gallons of water into the island, which is almost impossible when the island has so much sweet water. I think this should be a case that should be a study between the regional government, the federal government. We need to understand why an island with plenty of sweet water had the crisis of water that was never supposed to have. Why in a place with 100 oases,
right,
sweet, clean water, where some of them, even the entire island, running out of electricity, with the possibility of bringing generators. Right in front of me, here I see hundreds of generators parked, ready to be used for whatever task is needed around Wilmington. Why, instead of trying to bring impossible quantities of water over weeks, with an impossible operation of distribution across the entire island, we didn't put more resources in fixing the water problem that was already in the island? We had plenty of water in the island. We had plenty of opportunities to fix the problem within the island, instead of trying to fix the problem by bringing impossible amounts of water from far away.
When you talk about rewriting the rules, saying, hey, chef, we know what you've done on the island. I got 1 million bottles of water sitting on a tarmac. Take all you want. If you distribute them, take all you want.
But it's more complicated than that. What I will be doing is have an entire team that their only role will be doing distribution of water in different centers across the island. Right. You know my dream, what it was? To do 1 million meals a day in very short weeks. How? We had a catering company that was shut down in the airport. They fired everybody, workers were without any jobs, not making money, and we had an amazing facility in the airport that actually we were supposed to be activating that catering company, producing 250,000 hand meals. In the process, doing it cheaper than trying to bring $130 million contract for 30 million meals out of somewhere in the middle of Atlanta. That's what I mean, that the system sometimes fails. We need to try to resolve the issues with the assets that are in the place that you're trying to help. Bringing 30 million meals from Atlanta, whoever made that decision was obviously the wrong decision. Impossible and expensive. We were supposed to hire local businesses like that catering company. We were never supposed to have a food and water crisis. That one was created by not activating the resources and the local resources fast and quick. I think I was supposed to lead that. I failed because I was only able to do 120,000 meals to 150,000 meals a day.
You didn't fail.
I did fail because sometimes I wish I opened my restaurant at the Trump Hotel. I wish I had a restaurant and I had a direct contact with the President of the United States. And I wish I was able to look at him in the eyes while he was having maybe dinner in the restaurant in his hotel and tell him, Mr. Trump, we're failing the people of Puerto Rico, but we should not. I have a plan to feed them all. Give me the power used to help you and help the island. Yes, we did, okay, but I have a feeling that 3,000 people that die, maybe they die because we didn't feed them, we didn't give them water, we didn't give them blue tarps, we didn't give them generators that sometimes were sitting in a convention center, or they were sitting in an arena, or they were sitting in a port, when these generators were supposed to be given away as fast as they arrived to the island. Because we didn't do those things as quick as we were supposed to, people die. That's why an NGO like mine fell, because instead of 120,000 meals a day, we were supposed to do maybe many more. Next time, I learned my lesson, and I learned how to make and establish contacts with the people that can make me better, but in the process, I can make them better. And I said that in a humble way. Feeding, we know a thing or two. And sometimes feeding is an opportunity to do bigger things.
How many meals did you provide when it was all said and done? How many?
So at the end of the day, we finished with 3.7 million meals, but the very big one, we did it in the early weeks. Inside me, I was always dreaming bigger, but I didn't want to push the team too hard because they were working 24/7.
You're not okay with the status quo. You're not okay with just being okay. You're not okay with just getting by and being fine. What is your goal? You're like part chef, part executive manager, part entrepreneur. What's the end game for you?
Right now that I'm in this game, I always wanted to feed the few, but I always wanted to feed the many. I've been doing it for many years. And what I know is that chefs that we work so well in chaos, we've been involved after many situations. September 11, the chefs of New York came to feed the people in need. Hurricane Sandy, chefs of New York show up in Brooklyn to feed people. Katrina. But we've always done it in a happy, friendly way. Now we're trying to do it in the same professional way we run our restaurants. And I think it's working. If you bring the best doctors to emergencies to take care of the people, it would make sense to me that you bring the best chefs that can feed the most amount of Americans in the shortest period of time with the best possible quality at the best possible price. That's why chefs like me are every day more involved, and that's why we are always going to be there every day, more organized, ready to feed any American in need.
You taught me that food goes far beyond just making people feel full.
I know that sometimes people are going to be, maybe rightfully so, criticizing us that, guys, you try too hard. Why do you do a plate of hot food? I always will answer to people that if they've never been in a situation like a hurricane, an earthquake, a tornado, a volcano, and they've been sometimes for many days without one hot meal, you have to be in that situation to understand. When we bring a plate of hot food, we're sending the message to the people that they care, that we love them, that things tomorrow will be better, and that we are all trying our harder to be back to normal. The least we can be doing, especially in America, is to do the effort to feed people well on those emergencies. Today, I just came back from the local Wilmington big shelter in New Hanover, and used to see the faces of the mothers and the fathers because their children were eating a hot meal. Use the image of thanks they were sending you only with looking at you in the eyes was so powerful. If we don't try to do better, happens that we'll end doing worse at the end. We always try to do the best because people shouldn't deserve anything less.